Everyone out there, my name is Justin Tomlin. I'm a weather forecaster from Statesville, North Carolina, and today's date is November the 5th, 2011. This is my winter outlook for the 2011-2012 season, and throughout the winter you can find updates on upcoming winter events affecting the United States and North Carolina specifically at my blog, www.northcarolinianweather.blogspot.com. These are the factors that I considered when making this forecast: the ENSO cycle, the NAO, the AO, the PDO, sunspot activity, and the October pattern. I'll go ahead and hit on the ENSO cycle and October pattern now. The ENSO cycle I expect to be in a weak to moderate La Nina as we head into winter. The October pattern featured several blasts of cold air into the eastern part of the country, as well as several pretty strong storm systems moving through. So a lot of times the October pattern will repeat itself later on down the road in the winter, and that's why I considered it when making this forecast. Like I said, we're heading into a La Nina this winter, and this is what the typical setup of winter in La Nina, the La Nina winter in North America, looks like. However, I will say this, that La Nina, in my opinion, is one of the most overrated forecasting elements there is, because there's a lot of other factors that go into it that can make La Nina have a minimal effect on our country's weather. So, for instance, last winter, the NAO and Arctic Oscillation stayed primarily negative through the first half of winter and caused December to be one of the coldest on record for the East Coast, for the eastern part of the country. However, as you can see on this map, it's supposed to be warmer than average when you have a La Nina winter. So, I took that into consideration when making this forecast, but I gathered analog years by looking at years that had a second year La Nina. So the year before was also a La Nina, since that's what we had last year and that's what we have this year as well. Okay, the North Atlantic Oscillation. You can see down here where it was negative last year. I'll circle that for you. I looked at the pattern and compared it back to years in the past and found some analog years from this. The Arctic Oscillation, I did the same thing, and you can see down here too where it was negative last year, or last winter. Did the same thing, looked at the pattern and compared it back. This is the PDO, and what I did here, we're in a negative phase, so I weighted the analog years that I gathered from the ENSO cycle, NAO, and Arctic Oscillation, and weighted those from the previous negative phases of the PDO more so than other years. So I typed in my analog years, which I had quite a few of, and this is the map that printed out. Now this is not my forecast, but this is the map that printed out when I put in the analog years. Okay, that was precipitation, the one that you just saw. This is temperature, and you can see for yourself what it looks like. Now this is my forecast. I am forecasting above average precipitation in the green areas, so Ohio River Valley on up through the northeast, and also in the northwest portion of the country, and also the southern third of the country I expect to be drier than average, especially down around the Gulf Coast. As far as temperatures are concerned, however, I think that the northeast, the Midwest, and the northwest part of the country will have below average temperatures, and the only place with really above average temperatures should be down along the Gulf Coast. So a monthly breakdown for the Piedmont of North Carolina. November should have turned much colder by the second half, with average precipitation for the month. December, I think, will be pretty chilly, with drier than average precipitation there. Yeah. January, I think, should be cooler and drier than normal, and February should start to warm up. There is a chance that February starts to warm up, and we have more precipitation than normal. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that February is going to have no snow. It just means that overall it should be warmer than normal. That's my forecast anyways. So the general thoughts as winter as a whole is a very fast start to winter, with the first flakes of snow flying by the 30th of November for North Carolina, for the Piedmont of North Carolina, and then accumulating snow by the 20th of December. And I looked back at the analog years and individual events that happened during the years, and ice and cold outbreaks were two very common themes amongst these years. So I went ahead and said ice is a very realistic threat and cold outbreaks are very likely. severe cold outbreaks, like down into the teens, low teens. And I think as far as snowfall is concerned, slightly above average. Now I want to say this about a winter forecast. Winter forecasts are good to get a general idea of the winter, but you cannot really forecast how many events you're going to have. And snowfall is especially hard to forecast, especially around here, because you can have one event and meet your average snowfall for the year, and you've only had one event. So it's hard to forecast snowfall around here, but I am going to say that we are going to be slightly above average as far as snowfall is concerned in the Piedmont of North Carolina. But I thank you for watching. I should have more updates and more blog posts as winter gets going, and hopefully we'll see some flakes of snow by the end of the month. So I thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and God bless you.